because, you're kind of like looking ahead
Trying
to
go
go to the coaster.
whatever,
I had 6 girls, a couple margaritas deep behind me.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the ringleader.
Holding up traffic.
Yeah, and everyone was like, go. And I'm like, hi. And I like say hi. I think we like gave each other an awkward hug. And then I booked it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like he's so cute. Like, again, I was like, why didn't I like him? Or what happened, right? Because it was so like, our timings just weren't working out. But we knew each other for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I text him. He was going to a different event. I was going to the Padres game. He was going to the races. I think 10 days later, after texting a while, we went on a date again. And
now we're here.
we both were available. The timing was right. He was single.
Yes.
I was single.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the theme I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that I swear, I think it's with every person we talk to.
Yeah.
That you guys weren't ready for each other.
Welcome to Couples Unfiltered. I'm Lionel, a retired Marine drill instructor and master sergeant, and a widower learning to navigate life after loss.
And I'm Natalie, a retired nurse, also widowed. And now together, we're navigating grief, healing, midlife changes, family dynamics, and everything in between.
Join us as we have real, unfiltered conversations about love, loss, and relationships.
We'll share stories, talk to others about their journeys, and drop a few cheat codes for making relationships work.
Listen, it's raw, it's real, and it's unfiltered.
Let's get started.
Today, we are joined by Michael and Casey, a married couple juggling life with 3 girls under the age of 6, along with their individual careers. Casey as a high school teacher and Michael as a rep for a medical device company. They've also built thriving businesses together, owning a mobile bar and starting a second passion project that keeps them connected and inspired. Through the hustle of raising a family and managing multiple ventures, they've learned the importance of balance, hard work, and showing up for each other. Please welcome Mike and Casey. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That was a nice little intro. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. It's nice to kind of, when you hear it all together.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I am doing all
Oh my
that
gosh.
stuff.
You gotta take a deep breath.
That's us.
This is vacation right now.
Yeah. So to give you a little backstory of how we met, so like back in 2022, Lionel was running for city council, and we were getting ready to have this party for what's it called?
It was the election party.
Yeah, the election party, but it was for the results. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
the results, so we can watch the news and cry and laugh and all the things.
Get drunk.
All celebrating.
And so I had reached out to your company, the watering hall, just to see what the bus would cost. Now, what do you call it?
It's okay. Trailer.
Okay.
Cart.
Yes.
Bar. Mobile bar.
Right.
Mobile cart.
Yes.
Kind of say that.
And it's the cutest thing. So I found it online and I called you and I was like, oh, can you give me a quote? And we were just chatting it up and we were having a good old time. And it didn't work out that we needed you guys. But the funny thing is that like a couple months later, because I had sent you pictures of my driveway.
Yes.
And a couple months later, you call me and you're like, I think you called me and you were like, I have these pictures and they look very similar to our house we're about to move to. And I was like, oh yeah, I live in, where we live. And literally you guys moved like 150 feet from us.
Throw a rock at your house.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
I was like, that is so crazy. And I mean, I know that like the call was random, but it wasn't random. I felt like there was like a connection, on the phone. I'm like, this didn't work out, but we're going to use them again. Like, that feeling like this is not the end of this.
No, and you're taking the words out of my mouth. Like, I saved you in my contacts because we had such a great back and forth connection. We were like sending pictures to each other.
Yeah.
And that's why it wasn't weird for me to just randomly call you after you had said like, hey, we're not going to do it. Like, it's not going to work out. It was like totally cool.
Yeah.
There I am calling you 3 months later. Like, this is super weird, but I'm having this epiphany. Like, I feel like I'm moving in next to you. Like, what's your address?
Yeah.
And it, like, lo
Sure
and
enough.
behold, we looked at ours. We looked at your address. But that's their house. Like, we had already moved in.
And the funny thing is, even though the numbers were really far apart, but where we're situated, it's literally like 150 feet from your doorstep, you know? So yeah, it's been crazy. And then
that is so crazy.
To have been watching you pop out little girls since that moment. I think you were pregnant when you guys moved in.
I think so, but I didn't know it yet. Like,
it
was one of those.
Okay.
Another
so
story.
you guys have 3 beautiful little girls, and I love watching them play outside and seeing all your posts with all them. It's so cute.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
So as we get started, we like to kind of go back a bit. So Casey, we'll start with you. Give us some dynamics of how you grew up and get us to the point where you two met.
Okay. Yeah. So growing up, I have one older brother, and he is 4.5 years older than me. So we were close, but not close, kind of with, brother, sister, and, we good friends now, but like back in the day, I think we were just in different timings of things we were doing. When I was 5, he was 9. My parents separated. Mom and dad, totally great individual people. I have great relationships with them today. Just wasn't, they weren't meant to be together. But they created me and my brother, and obviously grateful for that. My mom remarried, I would say within like 2 years, or had met someone within 2 years, and my current stepdad, they actually just celebrated their 25th anniversary.
Oh, wow, nice.
So he has been an amazing person in my life ever since I remember him at my 7th birthday bowling party. He was there, and that was like the first time I realized my mom had a boyfriend, and so it was a core memory for me, and he just fit right in with our family. And then my dad, and he growing up, like, he was in the apartment complex literally right next to where my mom was, so I got to see him all the time and spent weekends over there. And
so good co-parenting situation,
I would say so. And it's only my experience, but I have no negative feelings towards like how I was brought up and how they both treated me. And I think that like turned me into the person that I am, and like I'm so grateful that they were like that. Because they were able to co-parent, drop off, pick up, also coming to all of my sporting events and all of my things. Like, they were there, they were present, and they were both supportive. And, my dad got remarried eventually, maybe 8 years ago. And he lives with, a wonderful woman who lost her spouse, but has 2 kids, and she's a nurse, and it's just like a really great fit also for our family, and he's really happy. And so, it's worked out. And that's, I guess, that takes me to current time, today.
Yeah. Well, we'll stop you there.
Yeah.
And Michael, let's go to you. How about
I grew up in Carlsbad, like Casey did. Great upbringing. My parents also split, but it wasn't until I was about 15 or 16. But yeah, my parents did a really good job, I feel, of raising me with limited resources. We didn't have much, but they worked hard, did everything they could to make sure my sister and I had everything that we needed: school, sports, whatever it was. Mentioned my sister. She's about the same age gap. She's 4.5, 5 years older than me. Growing up, we weren't really that close. It was kind of a weird time. We were never really in school together. So different groups of friends, just kind of always in different places. It wasn't until we got older that we were, really close. I talked to my sister almost every day, at least a text. She lives back in Nebraska. My mom moved back to Nebraska when my parents split. That's where both my parents are from. My mom had family back there, so that's why she went back there. Ended up remarrying, I don't know, 15 years ago now. I'm not exactly sure on the timeline there, but she's happy. My dad's still here locally. I basically chose to stay here. At 15 or 16, that would have been a hard move for me, moving to the Midwest.
So they gave you the option?
I had the option.
Okay.
Totally up to me. Wasn't forced to do either. Everything I had was here. Sports, friends, all that stuff. 15 or 16, moving halfway across the country wasn't an option. Yeah. So I chose to stay with my dad, and it was only for a couple of years, and then I went off to college. But yeah, my dad was great for those couple of years. But kind of growing up, it was a happy household. Just a lot of kind of fighting between my parents. I kind of remember that. And then it kind of brings us to where we are now. Like, I think we can kind of both agree having both come from parents that separated, I think our number one thing in raising a family is to avoid that any sort of separation or divorce or anything, and make sure that our kids have both of us around as long as possible together. I think that's kind of the main thing that we wanted out of one, a marriage, and two, raising kids. So.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like that you were left out of the information and things were just happening, or did you feel like they were communicating with you while all of the changes were going on? I'm always curious.
No,
about
and
that.
that's a great question, and something I think about now, just because now I think about Tatum, my oldest, is 5, and I'm like, I was 5 when my parents split, and like I don't know how many memories you have at 5 from 5 at 10 and at 15 and at 20. I have I really don't have many memories of my family as like a group of 4.
Right.
It makes me sad because we do everything together, like school drop-offs, like that's like we go the whole family if we can.
Yeah.
Because I don't know,
It's also the perception at your age, right? At 5, all you care about is your toys and what you're going to eat next, and your friends and the things that are your immediate, your immediate most important things. So the way you're even processing the things around you, if someone doesn't sit you down and have this explanation at a 5-year-old level of what's going on, you're just like really not paying attention, or you see things and you interpret it in your 5-year-old brain the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I've had this conversation before about my daughter and the thing that happened to her in kindergarten where she got kicked out because of an interpretation of someone else at a 5-year-old level of something she wrote because she was writing.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's an interesting thing to think about, that, when people not jump into marriages, but when they get married, and it doesn't work out, your kids are not old enough when they're that small to see you as a relationship and as a couple. They're just, you guys are playing roles in their lives.
Totally.
The roles just change,
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I just curious as to
and
if you remember that.
Well, you just brought up something, and my mom, do you know the book she just showed me from when I was in 2nd grade? She just pulled out a book she found that I drew at 2nd grade. So I was 7, 8. And it's like, draw a picture of me, draw a picture of your pets, draw a picture of your family. And there's a picture, says dad, says mom, says Brady, says Casey.
Yeah.
Like, I put all 4 of us in there as a 7-year-old, thinking probably because everybody else was drawing a mom and a dad. And like I'm not just going to draw my mom. Like, my dad was in my life. I don't think I had the concept that they weren't together.
Yeah, but it's also like where you think looking at everyone else and saying, "Ooh, I have to do my mom and my dad because that's their names."
I didn't add John. Like I didn't add my stepdad. Like I didn't. That's just like you said something about the childhood that sparked a thought.
And it's just probably super black and white, right? And you're like, "Oh, I don't know if this works." So everybody else is doing this, so let me just do this.
But it seems like both of your parents did something right. Because but no, I mean, while they were going through that process, like you said, your dad lived in the apartment complex, so he was nearby, and your parents gave you the opportunity to say, where do you want to be? So essentially they included you in what was going on in some way, shape, or form, so that you guys can live a semi-normal life.
Yeah, so we didn't really have the means for one of my parents to move to an apartment, so while my parents waited for their house to sell, knowing that my mom was going to move, we all kind of stayed in the same house. Wasn't the most amicable of breakups, so that was kind of a tense situation for everyone, especially being 15 or 16. Luckily, I was just getting my license. I remember that, and I was able to kind of come and go as I pleased. And I spent as much time as I could away from the house, just so I didn't have to deal with that, whether it was, staying after at school or working out, staying or for baseball, basketball practice, hanging out with friends, my girlfriend at the time. It was anything I could do to kind of get away from that situation. So it was a blessing in the long run. So.
Well, there's that, and then there's people who are in the house and they're just not divorcing and they're screaming at each other constantly, but we have to stay together for the kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, being that was my situation for quite a while, I realized that I don't want to do that. It's like, if it's that bad, the kids are watching all of it. The kids are feeling the energy. Even if you're arguing in quiet, in peace, peaceful, like on the outside, but then you go in the room and you're fighting with each other and whispering, the kids can still feel all that energy. So it's almost like you need to figure that out. Or,
I mean, we talk about that
Yeah.
regularly. I mean, as any married couple, you bicker about things, right? There's things that you argue about, and we do our best to kind of do it when kids are asleep or when we're not all together, just because excuse me. I mean, she'll tell a story she remembers hearing about, or hearing her parents argue and with her brother, and it's the same thing. I mean, I remember specific arguments my parents had, and I don't want my kids to ever see that, and hopefully it never gets to that point. But I think making it a point, making an effort to not argue in front of them, they're sponges. They take everything in.
Yeah. And
even if they don't say anything.
I would say even just recently, like our 5-year-old, the oldest, it's like she will say something back to us like a week later, like, do you remember when you said this? And I'm like, what? Like you're so
not even
right,
in
like,
the moment.
Yeah, they pick up the one thing.
Like one thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
but it's also like she sat on that for a week or so,
Right.
and then brought it up, and it was like, oh no, honey, we were just joking or whatever, like, you know, saying like a bad word like hate.
Yeah.
Shut up, right?
Yes.
But we don't say that to us. But I'm saying, like,
But
we're
yeah,
having conversation. We tell them you're not allowed to say these certain things, and if they hear it in a show or a movie or hear us, it's like, mommy, don't say that. And I'll be like on the phone with friend, shut up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like, it's like a different type of
That's a
like,
bad word for that.
so it's like a good thing, but it's also like you have to be
Yeah.
sensitive.
Yeah.
So I do remember being like 5 years old and sitting on the top of my stairs, and my brother, because he like told me, come on, let's go listen. It's like you listen to the fighting in the kitchen, and it's like we were supposed to be in bed, and that's like a core memory for
And
me.
you probably only understand half of what they're saying, so the words you do pick up on, or you're like interpreting it on your own.
Totally.
You know?
I'm just excited my
It's a
brother.
paparazzi.
I know they are.
Yeah.
I will say this. Sometimes it is good for the children to see not necessarily the argument, but the disagreement, and how two loving adults, people that love each other, can argue about something and make sure that it's not about their relationship. It's about the problem.
About the topic or whatever, yeah.
So as you know, you guys are not opposing each other. It's just a difference in how you see things, but the problem is there.
Right.
And we're attacking the problem together, but we're trying to figure out what's the best way for us to verbalize what it is that's going on. And I think kids seeing that can be good, because now they know, oh, my parents, when they argue, they have a calm demeanor about themselves, and they can disagree and they can still love each other.
Well, it also teaches them how to argue with their friends and with the other people they like, and teachers, and, you know, people that are in like positions that are, you know, like their boss. Sure. You know, it's like, I disagree with you, and let's have this conversation. So it's so much, parenting is so much of a, like, you are playing a role constantly, right? You have to be in character, and you either have to be in character by showing your emotions, allowing them to see you fall apart, by keeping it together, by arguing, you know, fair, and all the things. It's like if you just think of parenting as like there's a camera on you judging how your children are going to be growing up based on the choices that you make.
Yeah.
It's kind of stressful. I mean, it's very stressful.
Yeah.
It's like we always call them, our kids are our paparazzi. They're
Lot of
picking
eyes.
up things, they see stuff, they're interpreting it in their own mind, and they think the worst that it could be, or they blow it off when it's important. You know, all the things. So it's such a bigger responsibility in a more like constant way than we realize. You know, it's like, we're supposed to feed them. Yeah, we're supposed to get them off to college, and we're supposed to make sure they're not watching bad things on the internet. But it's like that constant parenting.
Yeah.
It's so stressful.
And we're like in the new phase of parenting. Like the fact that our oldest is going to be 6 in June. It's like we've only been parents for almost 6 years.
All these milestones to still get through.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so, and we've seen like our friends parenting, you know, like we're in this phase of our lives where we all have little ones, and it's like, you just see how everybody navigates like parenthood with their kids. And I find that to be super interesting too. Just different parenting styles that like,
You got to find that sanity somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
And they have to be able to see that. Because, you know, our kids need to see that we have a life.
Yes.
And that your relationship is not just your mom and dad, that you guys are have a loving marriage, right? So to show the love and to do the things, you're teaching your girls what kind of man they need to be picking.
Right.
Right.
Because you're the example.
Yeah.
You're the number one
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
So that's your job. I mean, one of your millions
One
of
of
jobs,
many.
right?
But
And
it's so important.
but you're
Yeah.
also teaching your girls what to accept in a relationship as well as a female relating to them. So it's like I said, it's constant.
Doesn't
The
turn
Truman
off.
Show.
You only get
It's
one
never
shot.
It is.
Everyone's
You want
watching
to-
all the time.
Yeah, you only get one shot.
It's so true.
You just gotta stop and think. And he always says this 5-second thing where it's like, just take 2 seconds and pretend like they're behind you. Don't look. And if they were watching me, what would I go to bed and what would I be able to sleep at night knowing that they saw?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know,
Sure.
not
Yeah.
not the stuff that
Sure.
you know what I'm
We
saying.
get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
So let's get to how you guys met because I love that there's a theme in this. So.
How much time do you have?
Well,
She might draw this one out.
No.
Let's keep it short.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know. You want to start us off? Okay. Oh gosh, right? Two different perspectives. Okay, well it's funny because I know the date because I'm like a date person. I'm a numbers person. So the day I met him was April 13th, 2011. And I was working for a lacrosse company called Adrenaline, and our parent company was called Skills. Same, basically I worked out of that space. Eventually, after about a year, so I knew all those people. A year later, the company finally gets its own place, so I move and work out of there. Skills calls us and says, hey, we need you to do like a product shoot. Of course, I'm the lacrosse girl. I'll come up and do it. I do a product. We go to the warehouse, and at this time, my best friend works at the place. I got her the receptionist job there. She had just moved to San Diego. It was perfect, right? This guy happens to be there. Again, we don't know each other, but he's in the world of helping out with a shoot. I think you were probably like in charge of the samples and things like that in the warehouse. So that's where we were shooting. And again, it's like, just immediate, like, see him, cool, but I'm busy. And then when I finally get a break, we kind of get to talking, and I immediately develop a crush, feeling like he's super cool. And I don't even know how old I was at this time. But anyways, I think it's going great. Gosh, this is too long-winded, I feel like. But like flash forward to... a couple months later, like we're playing on the same softball team. Like I'm thinking it's great. Like I'm thinking he likes me back. But we've never.
This is around what age? So
Gosh. So
You said it was 2011.
Yeah. So what's my quick math? How old am I?
24.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds right. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm 24.
So out of college, this is
Out of
your
college,
kind of
like,
first
yeah,
job
yes.
situation. Okay.
Yes. So I muster up the courage, as any woman can, as a 24-year-old single gal living with my parents. Living with my mom and my stepdad. I decide to ask him to go grab a burrito after a game.
Typical California first date.
Cali burrito, head to Roberto's. It was like 8:30 at night. We're in like sweats.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing? He says, maybe another time. And I am just dagger in the heart. After that, I just was so sad because I thought he liked
thought
me
you were hitting
back.
it off, yeah.
Anyways, that was that. And so that's my perspective. And then I guess there's now different years go by. You can jump in.
There was a reason I said no. I was dating someone at the time. So she
fair.
did. And the reason I didn't say that is because that person worked at the company too.
And it was on the low.
And it was on the DL. So
Yeah.
that's why I said no. I would have loved to gone and grab a burrito if I could. So yeah, fast forward her, I don't know, maybe a couple year and a half, I was still working there. Her friend who worked there, like, tried to get us to go out.
Yeah.
And I think I said I had a girlfriend, didn't disclose that it was somebody who worked at the company. Someone at the company had like an outing in San Diego. We were all supposed to go down there, and I knew she was going to be there. I was going to be there with my girlfriend, and so I was like, I have to tell them before we just show up together.
So respectful.
Now I look at it.
You know, most
Right?
guys are like, whatever, fight over
Right?
me.
Right.
You know?
Thank you. That's valid, right? Now I hear it back.
Yeah, exactly.
You did the right
Doing the right
thing.
thing. So yeah, I let her know that I had a girlfriend and then it was this person. So I feel you can take it from there.
Yeah.
I think she was pretty bummed.
Yeah, I was super bummed just because I, put myself out there by asking about the burrito date and then it didn't happen. So I don't know, 6 months go by. I've now have a new, dating somebody, and he ends up getting my number through my friend, and he texted me and
And at that point, I had become single.
and I was not. And
Yeah.
so I think I texted him back and we talked, and then I think he had asked me on a date, and I turned it down just because I was seeing someone. And then again, I think 6 months later, he reached out again. I responded, and I think he asked me out to lunch again. And at that time, I was like, all right, I'm gonna see because it's been a year or two. We go to, I think it was sushi, and I mean, it's cool at this point. Yeah, I think I'm 27 and you're 29, and whatever. We're cool. We're hitting it off. I like him. But I think I was seeing someone, so I didn't feel good about moving forward. And then,
See, at least I didn't go out.
yeah,
You know?
now I look kind of bad. No, nothing was serious. I was just dating,
Right.
but I kind of wanted to see.
Keep your options open.
'Cause he kept texting
That's what
me.
dating is about.
Yeah, and we were young,
At
and so
20-something,
at 27, right? So, again, so that kind of a cat and mouse. He's available, I'm available.
Yeah.
Then
That happened for a couple
the
years.
coolest part then in 2014. So now that's the same year. I'm 27. Anyways. See, my timing's off, but that's okay. I'm going out with a group of friends. I get on the coaster. He is also on the same coaster with his friends.
Going different places.
Lock eyes. I'm like, hey.
Same coaster.
Same coaster.
Same train. Same car of the train.
Time.
Yeah.
And
Coaster.
the way I was again, it's weird to say it out loud to that
that you were even
long-winded.
paying attention
Yes,
to looking
that
at
I
eyes.
was looking. I looked in the direction, then he was looking in the direction because we did one of those, because you're kind of looking ahead.
Yeah.
Trying
To
to get
go
a
to the
seat or
coaster. I
whatever.
had
Yeah.
6 girls, a couple margaritas deep behind me.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the ringleader.
Holding up traffic.
Yeah, and everyone was like, go, and I'm like, hi, and I say hi. I think we gave each other an awkward hug, and then I booked it, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Again, I was like, why didn't I like him, or what happened, right? Because it was so our timings just weren't working out, but we knew each other for 3 years. Mm-hmm. I text him. He was going to a different event. I was going to the Padres game. He was going to the races. I think 10 days later, after texting a while, we went on a date again. And
Now we're here.
we both were available. The timing was right. He was single.
Yes.
I was single.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the theme I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that I swear, I think it's with every person we talk to,
yeah.
that you guys weren't ready for each other. And there's so much divine intervention. And I always kind of describe, in my mind, the way I picture it is you both have a box, a box that's, you both have a puzzle that's in a box, and you don't have the picture that's on the outside of the box, right? And so you're separate, but you're putting this puzzle together, and you don't really know what it's going to be. Yeah. And then when you finally put that last piece in there, it's the time is right. Then you see the big picture. It's just you had something to do. In those 2 years when you guys were separated, and you were doing something too. And I mean, you could probably go back in your own brains and figure out why you weren't ready for each other now. You see it now, but it also gives you that that feeling of comfort to where he's not a stranger.
Yes.
And you're willing to get to know him, because how can it be that you guys have interacted this much?
Yes.
And then there not be anything to that.
Right.
Right. And you both have feelings of ooh, am I supposed to be with this person?
Yes.
And it makes you use your intuition almost more than your brain and your heart, because you're like, this feels right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And timing wise, had it worked out 2 years, whatever, year and a half, 3, whatever it is, prior, we wouldn't have our little girls that we have now. So
That's so
I think
true.
that's pretty special.
That is.
And you guys waited a little while before you had kids. I mean, you were not the average age of starting a family.
Yeah.
Which
Well, we
is
got married
also
a little
blessing.
bit late. We didn't wait too long to have kids, but we didn't get married until
31.
31, 33.
Yeah.
And then we had our first kid before our first anniversary.
We did. But we both knew, like you said, we knew each other. I knew his history.
There was no reason to wait.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to be married and start a family. Like, that was why we got married, as we wanted to start a new chapter of our lives. And like, we had dated 3 years and then, engaged for a year. And it was, and I'm so with you on everything you're saying about the timing of everything and everything having its own purpose. And it's like, at the time you're like, you're frustrated, right? But you see it 10 years later, you're like, oh, that's cool.
Or you have that feeling like we had when we talked, like, this doesn't feel like the end of this. I don't know what that means, but I'm not going to force it because you can't. Let it be. You have to you have to write it out.
Yes. I'm so big on that. So
I have a friend that says, let it marinate. Regardless of what that's my mantra right now.
You can use that in all.
You don't have to say yes right away.
Exactly.
You could just let it marinate and see how it
feels. Somebody piss you off on the road, let it marinate. It may not matter. So
and usually never matters on the road.
You're right.
Sometimes it matters. I'm that guy.
But he's like at a 4-way stop. Don't do this.
Don't do
And I'm like, he's like, you're supposed to just put your hand up. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, just a nice, polite. Go ahead.
Don't give me the wave.
None of that.
Because the wave means I'm letting you go.
Oh my God.
I have the power.
All things Marine Corps comes out of me. It's just like straight drill instructor. Hey, we good.
I love this perspective. I might be that girl going.
Oh, for sure.
But I didn't know.
Now you know.
But it's a sensitivity.
It is. I'm a very sensitive guy. I really am.
But he's so patient. So the things that freak him out or that piss him off, I'm always like shocked. I'm like, really?
Wait,
that
really?
makes you mad? Because
of all
I'm
things?
the road rager. I'm the one that's, flying around in the car.
A piece of toast? Yes, that's what
Oh my gosh. One of our kids, side note, one of our kids was eating toast at the bar, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I guess he dropped a piece of toast and he looked around and he was like, I can't find it. And like 2 days later, we find the piece of toast in the chair and he goes, oh yeah, I was looking for that. And it was just like, that pissed him off because he's like, how do you not finish looking for that?
How are you looking for that? It makes no sense to me.
Right?
That would drive me bananas.
That's so
That would drive me nuts.
But it's the little things.
Yeah.
I looked for about 4 seconds.
Yeah,
and
it's like, now I know how I'm not coming to your house. When you have a house and you're, I'm not coming to your house. But it's the things that like he can let things go that are huge that I'm like, how could you be moving so slow right now? Why are you so patient? And, but then there's little things that trigger him. And it's such a trip to see the person that you're with.
I'm a 98% guy. She calls me a unicorn. I say 98% of the time, I'm the unicorn. 2% of the time, I got another horn.
Yes.
And it's just
Yes.
Turning red and it's on fire.
And it's those
Except
little
I've never
things.
seen him mad.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't know that going into it. You figure it out as you go.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, though, we met at a military boarding school, and he was coming out of the Marine Corps, and he was a drill instructor. And so into the school, he had to kind of maintain that drill instructor kind of personality. Right. So when I met him for the first time, that's the guy I saw because I heard him yelling and, I heard him the way he would talk. So I'm thinking he's this, mean guy, but he's like the biggest teddy bear, And it's so funny because the kids we talk about this all the time. The kids would come up to me after they got in trouble. But, tears and sniffling and being in trouble. And they say, Miss Natalie, is he mean to you like this at home? I'm like, do you need help? Kind of thing. You must need help if he's always yelling at you. And I'm like,
we're here to help.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
So the kids knew you guys were together?
Only after a really long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for a while it was kept under
we
wraps.
kept it on the DL for quite a while.
Yeah.
Because number one, we didn't want people in our business. But number two, we were both just, grieving our spouses. And we were conscious of the idea that, we already know people are going to be all up in our business. But that it was a sensitive, situation. We were trying to figure out what was going on between us. We didn't know if this was going to be a good decision. And we also were setting an example to all those kids, right? Mm-hmm. But we have one of the episodes where we talk about one of the kids thought they set us up. So we allowed that child to think that they put us together because they thought we would be a good fit. Mm-hmm. And so they were, cool. He went out of his way to tell him how to ask me out on a date.
Gave me some locations in LA to go to, and you should try this and try that.
I think you guys would be a good match,
That's cool.
But then we had to break it to him on graduation day that we were already together.
You're like, little did you know.
Cute,
Yeah.
to think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
But
funny.
yeah, no, it's true. It's interesting to see, that when you're with somebody and they know you best, your spouse is the person who knows you more than anybody, and your parents, your kids, all of that.
Yeah.
And to see their triggers, it's a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
The 2% is as drill sergeant, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you saw.
Drill instructor.
Drill instructor.
He made that clear.
Yes, Army. That's the. Oh God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No.
twitch.
It's a swear
we all
word,
know
huh?
how that goes.
It is. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh God, what was that? That's
That is going. Oh my
That's so
gosh.
funny.
Tell us some of the lessons that you guys learned as you progress as a married couple, raising children, having businesses together. What are some of the lessons that you have learned?
That's a great question. I think my biggest thing, and he knows it, it's like communication. Like a biggest lesson I think is like I never really had a serious boyfriend until really him. And so I think I've learned that like I really need communication, and I need to communicate as like a way for me to feel connected, because he traveled and travels a lot for work, and I'm also, when I'm at work, I'm super immersed. Like I go dark too, so it kind of goes both ways, and like so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Sometimes I get mad at him for like, I didn't hear from you forever. He's like, I also haven't heard from you and never, like,
The
so it's like
timing
those,
was off.
yeah, like
Yeah.
those are those little things. So I think like, I don't know, I've learned that I truly think talking it all out is the best medicine. Like that's going to solve all your problems, because it's perspective. And it's like, if he hears my perspective of why I'm upset, he's going to understand where I'm coming from, and then it's going to justify why I'm upset, and vice versa. Like if he's upset with me, like I want to hear why, if I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. So I don't know, I guess that's just the first one that comes to my mind, is like communication, and whether it's a text, whether it's an emoji, whether it's just something to like let them know that like they're thinking of you, or I'm thinking of you. And I'm definitely a words of affirmation type person. And I think that's like where I thrive is when we're like we're jiving. It's because like we got so many things going on, so I need to communicate. We got to have that shared calendar. We got to have like those little things that pop up in the day, like they matter, because we now have kids.
And you guys work together.
And we work
Yeah.
together.
Outside of your W-2 jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are working together so closely.
Yes.
And you guys are doing, so you have the business, the watering hall
Yep.
in particular.
Yep.
You guys are in a little trailer.
Yep.
And you're hospitality.
this close.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's a hospitality business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Very much.
you're serving people at, most likely in, like weddings are like the one thing that is the one time you're going to do this in your mind. This is the biggest event you're ever going to have. It's probably the most stressful thing that two people can do together.
Yes.
Except buy a house. And
Or make pizza.
yeah, then if you're in our house, it's make pizza at 900 degrees. But, and so you guys have to be in sync.
Yes.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Very
and then
much.
because it's your own business, you also have to be in sync at home about it.
Yeah.
And that kind of, we know it's like your brand.
Yeah.
You guys are a couple,
think-
but that's your brand.
I think that's what makes it easier, though, is because it is our brand. If we just work together at the old place that we used to work kind of together, I don't think we would care as much. But since it's our business, it's our brand, it's our face that's with the brand, and it's something that we've built over the last 7 years, that it means more to us. So I think, and now we've put some things in place to where we're not always working the events. But in the first couple years, it was her and I doing everything, getting the trailer there, setting it up. I know we're sweating before the wedding even starts.
Yeah.
And then we're in close quarters serving 100, 200 guests on the bride and groom's biggest day of their life. So, I think there is something to be said about working together, but when it is your own business, you kind of take a special pride in it. And
Right.
I think that's kind of helped us, grow the business, but also provide a good service.
Can I ask, because with doing a podcast with Natalie, and I don't know if it's possible, but every time I fall more and more in love with her, because we get to talk and share these stories and just like really absorb some good positive energy. With you guys doing weddings, Do you feel that same kind of vibe where you're seeing the bride and the groom, you're hearing them and they're saying their vows and it's that fresh love?
Oh, yeah.
You guys get that feeling as well?
Yeah. Your wedding day is, and now it's been almost 7 years for us. You still remember it, but there's also like, it was such a quick, it happened so fast. There are things that you forget about. So seeing weddings again and seeing the bride see, or the groom see the bride for the first time, it triggers things in my mind. Excuse me. Not only for her, but for future.
Yeah.
I see dads walk their daughters down the aisle every single time. And I'm like, my kids are what, 5, 3, and almost 2.
But it'll
like that's not
be
that
like that.
That's not that far away. And then kind of on like a more not serious note, the speeches that you hear.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm taking notes to what I don't want to say. I don't want to have this said. And that's just kind of, like I said, more unserious note. But it is cool to see, and it kind of sparks some memories. And, when we were working all the events together, we would kind of look at each other every once in a while and just kind of smile or, and it kind of brings you back to our wedding day.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Well, speaking of that, did you guys, we always ask everybody, did you guys say your own vows
Great question.
at your wedding?
You know what? We thought we did something unique, so I don't know. I'll be curious if you guys have heard this, but we
didn't see each other until she walked down the aisle.
yes.
So we did like, not a first look, but we went like back to back behind kind of a hedge and gave each other each a letter because we didn't want to see each other. And so we sat there, and there's a really cool picture of us reading the letter. But then we did kind of traditional vows once we were up on
the writing of the
altar.
letter was so cool because it was like a letter we both like write it on that morning. It wasn't like something we
morning
wrote
of.
weeks before. So we wrote it the morning of, like by ourselves in our rooms. And so again, they're emotional, and so we gave each other. And so it was really like, I could almost like, we were like holding hands, and it was really.
Oh,
really,
you were reading it out loud?
No, I don't think we read out loud.
Okay.
But like the videographer, like I think I could like almost hear him like get a little bit emotional, and then I was getting emotional, but we could like talk and like, I'm so
you're
excited to
feeling
see
the
you, right? And
energy.
Yeah.
But our vows we actually did write ahead of time, and we wrote it together, and then we read the same vows. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we wrote vows together, and we like agreed upon what it looked like, and then I read the vows that we wrote together, and then I handed him the paper, and he read the same vows that we wrote together. So I don't know.
No,
That
that's
was
beautiful.
lovely.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that. I've never heard that one.
I don't know where that came from or why we did that, but I'm so glad we did because it was really
That was
special.
cool. It was really
Yeah.
cool.
And you wouldn't change anything if you look at it back to this day. Just say every year you look at it and reflect on your relationship for that year, and then read your vows. Do you think that there would be things that you would add or remove?
I think they hold up pretty well. I think, I would say they hold up pretty well.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And I think something we do watch every year is like our little video. We had a videographer, and so we get to watch like
And it doesn't
the
show
7-minute video.
It doesn't show everything, but like you hear clips of what each of us said during it.
Yes,
So
like
it's
the voiceover of
So it's pretty neat.
But I don't think we would. I know I wouldn't, and you wouldn't
I don't think
either.
so.
It's pretty cool that you have that, and it's almost like that day, and that's set in stone, and you follow that moving forward, and it'll be cool to look. I mean, it's fun to look back every year too.
We challenge our couples to do that, to look at their vows every year on their anniversary, or even now, obviously people have videos, but to watch the videos,
that's true.
no matter what state of mind you're in, because it needs to be a reminder. I mean, a lot of people have anniversaries and they just plan vacations, or, they have parties, but what connections are you making with the two of you about you're reflecting on your marriage for the last year, every year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really
It's
good.
like somebody
challenge.
keeping you accountable, but
Yeah.
it should be primarily you.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys did that from the beginning by sitting down and writing your vows together. I think that is we talk about the business of marriage, and that's so business-like to sit there and agree upon this before we get face to face. So
It's
that's
almost like it
beautiful. I
was
like
showing
that.
you're going to
Yeah.
work together.
I was gonna
Like,
say,
yeah.
kind of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's really cool. Yeah.
So quickly tell us about your passion project, because we talked about the watering hole
Yeah.
and the mobile bar that we love, and we did eventually use
We
you.
did.
Yeah.
We were like, we'll be right there.
Yeah.
150 feet, just pull it into the driveway.
That was such a fun event.
That was
And
good.
then and the hug button.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. I know, I'm all excited. No, just because this is a passion project, and that's, I love that you called it that, because it's very new. We've thought about this for a long time, as in a year and a half or so, almost 2 years. So it was August of 2023, first day of school. I had just had baby girl number 3, and I was going back to work like 6 weeks after birth, just because I think starting the school year with a sub is really hard. So I wanted to go set the tone in my classroom. So I worked for a couple weeks, and then I took maternity leave.
Okay.
That was just because it was my third kid, and I almost I know how to do this. I didn't do that with my first one, who was a summer baby, and it just was hard to kind of get back into teaching. So anyways, that's a side note, but it's the first day of school, and I had seen something where you basically draw a heart on your hand, and it's it's just called the hug button, right? You press a button, and you'll feel the magic of a hug from your adult. So
you would do it for your child.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, you write it on your child's hand, so they go to school if they're nervous, right? First day of school is a big deal, and they're again in preschool. So it was the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old going to school. And we decided to do it too, write it on our own hands. And so we were all put our hands in. And it was a cute little moment we had before school. We all go to work, school, all the things. We always come back to the dinner table, and we always talk about favorite part of your day. What are you grateful for? Who'd you help today? Who helped you today? And we kind of go through those things. And again, our 4-year-old can articulate. Our 2-year-old at the time couldn't, and obviously the infant didn't say much. But we all went around, and Michael actually was I used my hug button, and it was really helpful to me. And then Tatum, was I also used my hug button, but it washed off. Can we do it again tomorrow? But I need it to stay on. And we were kind of looked at each other, we're yeah, we can do another one. What are we going to do? Permanent marker, tattoo, what are we going to do? And we were well, should we make you a bracelet? And she was yeah, I want a bracelet. I want a button, and I want a pink string, and we were all right.
She basically designed.
We were that's a great idea. Thing. So flash forward to I quick Amazon order. Next morning, we've got it, right? We just hand put something together. We all wore them, and it's all she could talk about. Yeah. I was brave today because I had my hug button. And flash forward, do we have a potential business idea? No one has done this. I think this could be something that could really help a lot of kids. Yeah. And it also ended up helping me a lot, helping him a lot, kind of as the adults, stay grounded with what's important. When you're stressed out, you're worried about be where your feet are, and just remember you've got a home, and you've got your health, you've got your kids. And so now we've created a bracelet. A year and a half later, we're ready to launch early May. We're thinking May 2nd is going to be our launch date. So we're basically waiting for the shipment to be here in the next week or so, or 2 weeks, and then we're off and running, and we're just going to give a ton out, and we're going to schools, hospitals, and we're going to partner with charities, foster homes, military support families, and and Rady's children. So there's those 3 things that we feel, again, for people that have lost someone or going through something, or just really for the 6-year-old kid that's going to kindergarten for the first time. And we've gotten such positive results. So again, it's very simple. It's a bracelet. It's a button and a string, and it's
that's the thing. You can touch it, you can feel it.
Yeah. And that's the perception of a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 6-year-old's brain. Yeah. Is that maybe they're thinking these things, but sometimes just touching something makes them feel at ease. And that is really, it's the most simplest, brilliant idea. Yeah. Because there's going to be a lot of 6-year-olds forever, and there's going to, eventually when the kids outgrow that need, it's still a memory that they'll have, that they will feel that tangible touch.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it is just that. It's the very, very simple thing. But again, it's the story and the message that we believe, if we can give parents who already probably do something like this, but we can help parents who don't, and we can give them a script, and basically, I mean, kids, they'll believe anything you tell them, and we just hope that it's all in good, with the little ages of Santa Claus, and Tooth Fairy, and the leprechaun. It's essentially that. It's a little superpower to give them confidence and give them comfort. And so I think it's it's something special, obviously being parents near and dear. So it's the new venture. We'll see where we are in 6 years with it. It'll be fun to see how our kids, but yeah, we call them the founders really, because they came up with the idea and we're just helping them execute. So.
And what a marketing, that's great, because you have the kids.
I know.
Wearing the buttons and need the
Absolutely.
buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
Your direct experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned military, and that immediately took me back to when I was deployed to Iraq, and we had a Marine that was there. Shout out to Gigi. She, when we had downtime or when she was in her room, she took 550 cord and she would braid these bracelets, nice and thick, like 2-finger thick bracelets, and she gave it to every Marine that was there, and we gave it to our kids. So I was able to mail that bracelet home to my boys.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah. I still have it.
Wow.
And for you said military, and for those young people that have parents that are deploying, whether they're going into a combat situation, jumping on a boat, sailing the Middle East or Far East or what have you, to have something tangible like that they can touch, it means something.
Yeah.
And that's a really good project that you guys are doing.
Yeah, we just wanted to pick things that were close to our hearts. And we knew it would resonate with other people. Whether it was wounded warriors, fallen soldiers, just being away for 6 months, 9 months, or whether it is a foster child who doesn't quite have a home yet. Everybody can use a hug.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not a physical hug, but it's there.
Yeah,
So.
it's taking the thought and making it tangible.
And hug is a universal language.
Yeah, we can all speak that.
Everybody loves hugs for good moments, bad moments, happy moments, sad moments.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I feel like, speaks volumes, and you should never be too old or too young to have a hug. And I think
I like that.
like it's like everybody needs, and a good hug. When you get a good hug, you can feel it. Like it's a moment. So I think that I love, thank you for sharing that, because
really cool.
it's really,
thank you for
really
doing
cool.
what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, so many ideas. So thank you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, as we close out, we want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for talking about your businesses. It means a lot, and I hope all the success, and whatever we can do to assist, please do not hesitate to let us know.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
it.
if you guys want to check out their trailers, their business is called The Watering Hall, and you can check them out at thewateringhall.com and on Instagram at The Watering Hall. That's HAUL. And the hug button is, the website is thehugbutton.com, and your Instagram page is at thehugbutton. And you said May 2nd-ish is when you guys are going to start
That's what we're
trying to
aiming for.
push out the bracelet.
We just have a massive event, watering hall event that day. So why not do
Just
both
do it
of
all
them?
at once.
That's lovely.
Make it a fun Friday, right?
Yeah.
5225.
Here she is with her numbers.
Palindrome.
So,
Good luck. So we'll see. We'll see. We have to do some teasers on social media, but thank you for the shout out.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
amazing.
Well, we look forward to seeing how that business grows, as well as your little girls.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us, you guys. This was fun.
Sure.
Thank you all for being there with us. Take care.
Just a quick reminder, we are not licensed therapists, and everything we discuss here is based purely on our personal opinions and life experiences. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss a future conversation.
A podcast network bringing radio to the modern age. It's recorded at the Film Hub in Vista, California, a creative, collaborative co-working environment. Thank you so much for tuning in.